Hey, what's up YouTube? This is going to be a video on how to properly stain a deck and how to properly repair. This has kind of been a problem deck. The homeowner had recently applied way too much stain, so it puddled. I thought maybe by using a floor sander I could knock it down. You can kind of see what we got here. I'll show you here in a bit. But to prepare your deck, you're going to want to use Cabot's, and they recommend wood stripper first. Apply it, let it sit 15 minutes. You might have to scrub it with the wire brush, then spraying it off, then hitting it with the wood brightener, and it says on the bottle that somehow neutralizes the stripper, and then washing it off. I'm going with the wood toned stain and sealer. So this is a relatively newer deck. Kind of an explanation of what kind of stains you get into with the age of your deck and the condition of the wood. Here's a little guide. I'll kind of break it down and show you, but I'm just using a pump sprayer. These are designed to withstand the different chemical properties of each product you may use, rather than just a lawn and garden sprayer and a different nozzle. That's also in your local big box stores. I'll kind of show you. I apologize for the wind, but you can see this is after hitting it with 60 and 120 grit. So that you can kind of see the before. We'll see how well these products work as far as that stripper. Starting out, after you build a new deck, usually the way guys recommend to do it is start with a less labor intensive, kind of like a Thompson's water sealer or products like that are just spray on. As your deck ages and gets in rougher shape, then you step up in the solids of the stain. You know, you get into more of like a semi-solid or solid stain, where it provides more protection, but it's also a lot more labor intensive to put on and to strip. So I'm going to load up the stripper, spray this down, let it wait 15 minutes, and then just hose it off, and I'll show you what kind of results we get with that. Again, I'm applying it with the deck sprayer. So I got my pump sprayer, I'm wearing gloves, my mask. This particular product, Cabot's wood stripper, does not require being thinned down. So put my gloves on, my mask. I'm gonna fill this up, and this should be enough to cover this whole deck. So I got it all sprayed. One jug was enough to do this deck, which is roughly 12 by 8, I think, or 13 by 8. It says make sure and not let it dry. If it starts to dry on you, just mist it with your hose. But to give it 15 minutes, probably best job to do the best job would be to scrub it. It's awful slippery when you get up there, so be careful. So now it's kind of doing its thing. So I've been scrubbing it and using just a hose, but you definitely want a good spray nozzle or like a pressure washer, so you can see how it kind of lifts it up and kind of is gummy. So definitely a pressure washer and a wire brush. So I might have to run and get a pressure washer. You can see how it kind of lifts it up, does a pretty good job. But yeah, so my recommendation would be a pressure washer, or make sure you have a very good nozzle for the end of your hose that has plenty of pressure. So I just finished up sanding, and so far this is just using the stripper and then sanding off anything I couldn't get off because I didn't have a high enough pressure nozzle. So you can see this cedar deck's 5 years old. Now what I'm going to do is, it recommends Cabot's recommends to hit it with the brightener. They said in the directions that to use that after your stripper because it helps neutralize the stripper. Not sure if that's really necessary, but I'm going to use that brightener product and I'll show you what that is and then see what it does to this to see if it's, you know, worth the money or worth the effort. So now I'm going to apply that with my pump sprayer. I'm going to apply the wood brightener. So I think it's kind of a cleaner, and it says it restores your wood to the original look. It works on the tannins, specifically with like redwood and cedar. Basically, you don't dilute it. This will cover 200 square feet. You just brush it or spray it on and then let it sit 15-20 minutes and then hose off. So I picked it up. I was kind of debating on whether to use it or not, but for the sake of the video, we'll see what kind of difference it really makes. Because on the stripper it says you're supposed to use this to deactivate the stripper. So, and like I said, I'm just using a pump sprayer. So you basically lock it down, get it tight, and then by going back to the left, you'll release the handle, and then you can pump it up. So you can see the deck's drying now after using that wood brightener, and it made a big difference. Looks a lot better. Using a product like that would allow you on an older deck to maybe you know, use a product that was like a transparent, semi-transparent, you know, kind of one of those lighter grades where it's less work to reapply every year. Kind of like a water sealer, especially if you like the natural look, like this deck being cedar. That's actually kind of a good option if, you know, basically this same situation where someone applied something, went wrong. That way you can get back into a water sealer, do it every year. You know, it's less maintenance, less work than getting into your higher grade semi-solid or solid stains with a lot more pigment in them, which are essentially, you know, you're painting your deck, and then when you have to touch it up, you know, you got to strip it and all that work. Versus if you're in the earlier grades, you know, 1 and 2, you essentially spray it with a cleaner like your pump sprayer, maybe a brush it off, spray it off with a hose, and then come back and spray it with a pump sprayer with your water sealer or your, you know, entry-level stains. So yeah, you know, that's a big difference from where we started. So in hindsight, what I should have done is use the stripper right off the bat, rented a power washer, you know, got the bulk of it off, then went and got the floor sander that I did a video on, you know, sanded it, and then just washed off with a hose. Came back and then used this wood brightener, and I would have got to this point a lot faster. So I hope this helps somebody. First hit it with your stripper, and depending on how rough the deck, how rough it is, or what you're dealing with previous stain, then get your floor sander. And then this wood brightener product actually made a huge difference. So I would recommend it. It was like 15 bucks. So anyways, I hope this helps. Please go to Meyer Construction. Hit like, hit subscribe, and keep hammering.